What's going on, y'all? With your girl Boost Boswell with the bottom line. I thought I'd hop on here a few minutes early so we can get this party started. It's been a very interesting 24 hours, I might say. Um, I uploaded a video yesterday in response to the Peach McIntyre drama with her mother. Um, that's been really flooding the platforms. I've been hanging out on TikTok, and that's where a lot of the young folks, very young, hang out. And some of their comments have been interesting enough for me to want to come on and kind of walk through so we can get a better understanding of what is childhood traumas and what they look like as we become adults. A lot of people have expressed their opinion in the last 24 hours regarding this drama between Peach and her mother. And it's definitely a divided community regarding who supports Peach and what Peach has expressed that have traumatized her and all of the abuse allegations and things of that nature that has formulated and plagued her life. And then her mother comes behind and denies those allegations. All of it's alleged because none of us has been there. So for entertainment purposes. Um, but it's absolutely a teachable moment and something that can be learned from, because although the spotlight is on Peach and her mother at the moment, their story isn't anything new. Their story can be told by a high percentage of families in general. But let's just focus on the African American family. Um, let's do this first. Let's define what a childhood trauma is so we know what we're talking about. Trauma in childhood not only constitutes physical, emotional, or sexual abuse, but exposure to traumatic events as well. These traumatic events could be when children witness natural disasters or even when they witness violence within their communities. Factors that determine a child's reaction to trauma include their developmental level. This can mean where the child isn't age wise or mentally mature. This can impact what the child views as a normal response to trauma based on what they have seen from people in their communities or families. Childhood trauma refers to threatening experiences during childhood that exceed a child's coping ability, resulting in maladaptive behavior. Trauma is not limited to a single disastrous event. It can be a long process that develops over time. Um, I actually went on the internet to pull up some notes, some key points that I want to explore as we go through this. Just defining what childhood trauma is. From the short time that I have followed and became aware of who Peach is, she definitely fits that description. Not only her, a lot of people I can identify because I've experienced some childhood traumas. Many of us have. The difference is with these younger people, I think a lot of the people that I've been engaging with in the last 24 hours over on TikTok are people that are Gen Z. So they have a totally different mentality than a millennial, which Peach is a millennial. The one thing that I was trying to get across to these younger people to understand, because they were very combative, and their level of forgiveness and comprehension is just extremely unhealthy. I wanted them to take the opportunity or a moment to pause and to consider the traumas in Peach's mother's life, not to excuse any of her behavior, alleged behavior, everything alleged, so you won't hear alleged again. But Peach's mother is a baby boomer. Let's walk that for a second. Baby boomers dealt with extreme racial discriminations. We still have them today, obviously, but they were in the infancy and the developing stages with baby boomers, and generations before. Peach mother is a baby boomer. Extreme poverty. Peach speaks about growing up in the projects. So you have the baby boomers that were living in poverty, racism, didn't have equal rights. So they didn't have any health care. So it would be safe to say that there's a high percentage opportunity that Peach mother passed down trauma just based off of her history. And the point that I wanted to make to the people that I was engaging is, nobody's excusing that behavior. Nobody's invalidating the possibilities of all the things that Peach said she experienced. But when do you get to the point to where you are now accountable for your life, and it's no longer acceptable to, hey, welcome aboard. Glad you're here, Ebony. It's no longer acceptable for you to use your childhood shortcomings, traumas, abuse, whatever, as a factor in why you're dysfunctional. Talking about childhood traumas rolling over into adulthood, Ebony, and when does it become no longer an excuse? When do you own where you are at in life? The one thing that I know, I don't just use other people, I'll use myself as a teachable moment. I had struggles and issues growing up where I didn't always agree with my mother, where I bucked her teachings and upbringings. Many of us go through that a lot. A lot of people can identify with that situation, but there are points in your life where you got to take accountability for what happens. And although you might have been traumatized or there might have been some abuse, we just now get to this stage in life where, all these cute words, soft parenting, gentle parenting exist. We was raised how we was raised. I don't agree with everything that happened in my childhood, but a light bulb went off somewhere in my life as I started to grow older, and I wanted to make a change. I didn't want to carry that baggage. I talked about that in the video when I was talking about Peach, where I started to heal when I realized what I thought I needed and I expected from my mother, she didn't have it in her to provide. Once that realization came, I no longer looked at my mother as all these levels of expectation. I saw her as a person, and I was able to start to heal because my level of understanding opened up. I quit having a resentful and a blameful attitude because I wanted to have a different experience. So I sought to understand. And once I realized the traumas in my mother's life growing up as a child, that resentment, that bitterness turned into love and compassion and understanding. I see none of that in what's going on with this situation. And they both stand and have their truths. But when do you get past all of that and move forward? Peach is notorious for saying that lady got a husband and 7 kids. Why? You're right. You're now you're responsible for a large group of kids' childhood. So when are you going to let go of yours and be responsible for theirs? Because if you think that, excuse me, just because you taking them to the zoo and on these little mini trips, that childhood is beautiful, those children are consuming every bit of toxic events and that negative energy every step of the way. I remember being a very young child knowing all the issues in my family's life. Those kids know what's going on. And if she think taking them to the zoo and to Disneyland gonna supersede what they are internalizing. See, this is how generational traumas is passed on, and it's a domino effect. You have 3 generations, the grandmother, the mother, and the grandchildren, that there's no healing. Those children, they don't have any choice but to digest all this. And when you have people that aren't objective enough, that aren't mature enough to pause, see, that pause is a lifesaver. That pause can save your life because it makes you think, it makes you reflect, it makes you reassess. It's not happening. I believe both sides because I know there's truth in both sides. It might not be 100%, but both sides hold a lot of truth, the truth as they see it. And for families to allow relationships to get to that level of toxicity is why we are here today, in these dysfunctional families, in these broken homes where I just talked about adult children that don't talk to their parents. Why adult children don't talk to their parents. It's a sad case. It's a very sad case. And you have these adults that are very okay with, I ain't never got to talk to you again until I need you. Until I need you. Because see, these people in the streets, they'll be there for a while until they no longer are interested or you can't do nothing for them. Ebony Love says, I don't think she goes to church either. Not that it fixes everything, but that is where some of us do reflect, receive some form of therapy. If the pastor is a good teacher, motivator. Amen. I have an older video. It's called Self-Love. Talked about I said at my lowest time. I said, where do you go when you are at your lowest of low? At my darkest times, I got on my knees and I prayed to God. When you don't have any spirituality, that's a dangerous thing. That is a very dangerous thing. I just recently started following a mother. That's why I know about this, because the algorithm recommended a video of the mother. She was making a salad, and I wanted to, know about the salad. Her mother's a vegan, and which I try to eat more within a vegan lifestyle. I'm not a vegan, but I try to adopt that more and more. That's how I know her mother. I don't follow Peach. It's too much going on there. And when you are so negative and can't nobody tell you nothing, and then you got a group of people that's rallying around you, pouring, fuel to the fire and egging it on and celebrating mess, it ain't nothing you can do with it but walk away. So I don't follow her. That's the only reason why I know is because I came across the mother making a salad. And what was disturbing to me was, and her mother was minding her own business. The Peach Patch crew was tearing her mama up in the comments. Now this lady and her son was in the video, and I noticed the dynamic between the mother and the son. A very just toxic, just bad to the core mother. That's going to affect all children because you can't hide who you are. So I'm not saying that things ain't true that Peach speak about her mother, but there's definitely some goodness in her mother, because I saw the relationship with the mother and the son, and I also saw a video where the mother was in church, and the mother was talking about another video where she was struggling emotionally and talking about her struggles with God, but she was seeking God. So I know she has a level of spirituality. She talks about it. When you don't have any spirituality, see, that's when your conscience disappears. If you sit back, watch individuals that operate in a manner where Peach operates, any and everything goes. There are no limits. And when you don't have any limits or boundaries, that's when you become dangerous. And you have this mentality of young people, some older, but it's more the majority younger than myself. I'm a Gen X. I'm in my 40s, headed to 50, where when you can't tell people nothing, that's a dangerous thing. Ebony says her son seemed to enjoy rubbing his mom and getting on her nerves with good humor. She tolerated it well, but you could tell they are playful even when he is getting on her nerves. Exactly. When you go on the internet, hold on, you could not pay me to turn a crowd of weirdos against my mama. Me neither. That's what my next comment. And have them attacking and stressing her on the internet about something that happened decades ago. And that's the thing. Peach want to talk about, my mother talking about what happened with her, and was that happened. A little girl, a young chick said that in my comments on TikTok. That happened 6 years ago or whatever. I said, but what happened with her mother was even longer. So what's your point? We can't pick and choose our traumas. You either traumatized or you're not. But that's where the manipulation comes in. See, when everything is good with Woods, then I don't deal with my family, and this our world over here. And then boom, all of a sudden he gone, and now you on an attack on everybody else. And my whole point of this is, we all have shortcomings in life. Everybody, doesn't have the perfect relationships. People have good ones, and they do exist. But there's many people that have strained and struggle relationships. But you don't engage to the level to where it can be damaging even further, to the point to where there's no returning from it. And that's what people don't seem to understand. You can damage a relationship to the point of no return. Words are very powerful. City 03, you see I wear glasses, so if I don't get all of your name, I apologize. City 03, I think the issue is just that Peach is experiencing triggers, which recounts Memories, absolutely. That's only human. Yeah, I got notes here. Look, I printed some things off. I actually went over some of the notes before I logged on. One of them says a person experiencing involuntary flashbacks disassociates from reality and feels like the traumatic events are happening now. Reoccurring trauma related to dreams or sleep disturbance is also common. Trauma victims may have a negative outlook on the future. Peach always talking negatively. To them, it may seem inevitable that more trauma will follow. They may have thoughts such as, I will know what will happen in my lifetime. Although traumatized adults may exhibit only one or two of these traits and have other diagnoses, signs of other traits can still be found in their childhood trauma history. It's there. It's there. But the point is, when are you going to be accountable for that? When are you going to, she's in her, head to her mid-30s. See, she's no longer a child. She's a mama with 7 kids and a husband. When are we going to be accountable for the things we do and say? Ebony Love says she is actually defaming her mother online and ruining her reputation in people's eyes. Absolutely. That lady has a whole job she has to go to every day, and people at her church who have access to the content. And that's what's sad. Some of the things that came out of her mouth, she always say that her mother tries to intentionally hurt her. What I saw here in the last 24 hours, how she talked about her mama, the type of woman I am, and I have a very sensitive and forgiving heart. Some of the things that came out of her mouth, outside of the fact that she said, I do not love my mother, I hate my mother. I don't know if my heart could have healed from that. See, that's the thing. You can heal, but the part of forgetting that it happens. See, that's what you carry with you. And when you get to a stage in life where you want to live a healthy life, you don't want to carry all that way. It's a lot of heavy things that Peach has said in the last 24 hours. And I'm not taking either one of their sides. I don't know them to take their sides. I know I have an opinion and I have an obligation to my commitments on how I want to come forth in the world to put out there what I think, so maybe others can walk away and learn and not do the things that we are witnessing. Use this as a teachable moment, and maybe, unfortunately, other people's struggles can be our strengths, where we can learn from their traumas and navigate and overcome. Our City 03 says, I really believe that childhood trauma never goes away. It lingers in life, just at different degrees. People just have to develop coping. It's a fact, and I'm totally in agreement with that. You can't change what happened. What happened happened, but how you deal with it, how you manage, how it affects your life, and how you show up in the world because of that impact is what matters. What happened to you never go away. It happened. It happened. It's how you manage that is what makes all the difference in the world. It's not normal to always bring your toxic past, your trauma, and your triggers to the internet. It's not. When is she going to get therapy? The internet is not therapy. It's not at all. Look, this platform was developed for mental health awareness within the minority community, giving knowledge, awareness, and encouragement to seek therapy and to resolve emotional illness and get rid of that negative stigma, changing the trajectory. I use these instances as teachable moments because a lot of what's going on in the Black community ain't nothing new. We just now talking about it. People get so caught up in the negative, the negative aspect and the gossip, and just buying into all that mess. Now, I'm gonna use it to try to teach somebody, to try to help somebody to get better. And the reality is, a lot of people don't want to hear it. But I ain't gonna shut up. You cannot say you forgive your parents, but stay speaking evil of them and recounting past wounds and posting private conversations with them online for revenge in dollars. Yeah, and that's a sad thing, and that's what's happening. She said some just awful things about her mother, some awful things, and who's to say they're not true? Okay, let's say they are. We don't know, but say they are. Who's How is that? You doing that is going to impact any of us that don't know y'all how. It's going to impact you and your mother, though. Your mother may forgive you and she may always allow you back in, but you think that lady gonna never forget? And then when the day is done, see, that's the whole thing. You don't want to have regrets. I learned in my life not to try to create regrets. And these are intentional regrets that at some point in her life, she will regret. The law of life does not change. It does not change. It seems like this all started because Miss Tracy kept urging Peaches to go visit her dying father. Peaches claims she forgave him, but it is obvious she harbors unforgiveness towards him as well. It seems how all this started is because Wood's gone. Because she talked about the daddy before now. The only change in this dynamic is an emotionally broke young lady that's been broken for a long time, that is addicted to pain and toxicity, that is lashing out because her drug of choice, that poison, her husband, which was just called her toxic relationship with her husband, is not there. She can't get that dopamine fix. Peaches threatened to stop talking to her mom if she kept urging her to go visit her dad. Then came the posting of the private text combo. Then mom finally responded. Okay, you know more than I do. I saw it. The salad. I seen her mother cooking a salad, and this was a after play. No, this was like, I think I seen it 1 minute after her mother posted. It was recommended to me on here, and I watched it, but in the comments is what caught my attention. All these people was just trolling the mother bad, and all the mother was doing her little cooking video of a salad, and I just thought that was terrible. In the last 7 days, she started going in on her mom about the dad. Okay, she just now told us Woods is gone. Got you. And I just said, I think I saw that yesterday because I don't follow Peach. It's too much. I've learned to protect my peace. I've known about Peach probably 2 months now. I liked her when I first saw her. I didn't like her first video, but I liked her because I saw some older videos and my heart went out to her because she told her story and I could see the genuineness. So it seemed, and just a young girl on down on her luck, struggling to get above water, and then it just transitioned to this very toxic, dark person, and constantly berating people that follow her. It was just too much, and I we all should have boundaries. I have boundaries. I monitor how much negativity gonna come in my space. I monitor how you treat me, how you make me feel, and none of that felt good. And I know a lot of people linger around her because they trying to learn how to get to the bag, but she ain't teaching nobody how to get to the bag but her son and Woods. And Woods ain't gonna get there because he's too lazy. Because if she really teach somebody to get to the bag, see, don't nobody need it no more. Peach ain't show me one person other than them, her little group at home, that has made it to her level. They don't exist. Peaches don't have to visit that man. Her mother was not respecting her boundaries. I agree. I agree. Again, Peach a grown woman. That's the whole thing. Ain't nobody's respecting nobody's boundaries. Everybody got these traumas, these issues, and this healing that needs to occur, but ain't nobody doing nothing. But bringing it to the internet. True, she doesn't have to visit him, but her mom was doing what moms do. When that man is gone, ain't no chances to ask questions or get things right or heal. I agree. I agree with the intent. The mother might have been too. She might have tried to push her too hard. Who knows? But I tell you this: her mother ain't never pushed her harder than Woods. Not when it come to that situation. It don't even matter what the situation was. The trigger is there regardless. That's a lot of pain. That is a lot of pain. Period. It's a lot of disrespect. And I use this example in my last live. It's a lot of young people that don't believe in God. I ain't here to convince you. I know I do, and can't nobody move me. And this platform respects God. That's what it is. I ain't gonna never be moved. I know He exists in my life. I believe in the Bible and what it says. One of the verses, don't know, can't tell you which one, but it's there. Honor thy mother, thy father, or your days shall be shortened. I spoke on a previous live when all this started with the mother and Peach. I instantly thought about Kobe Bryant. And for whatever reason, I don't know why that came up, but it took me to that verse. Honor thy mother, thy father, or your days shall be shortened. He didn't talk to his mother and father for a long time. He ended up passing away. When he passed away, him and his mother was still estranged. I think he had started talking to his father, but he still hadn't talked to his mother. Now, he was blessed immensely to a level in life that the majority, in the top 10% of achievers, his life was cut short. I thought about that verse. I ain't here to convince nobody. I'm just telling you my experience, what I thought about. What you put in the world, you are responsible for. My question is, why does the internet need to be informed about everything that goes on between her and her mother? No relationship seems sacred with her, not even that with her customer. Well, it's not. So because she's so corrupt now, everything's a dollar. There are no boundaries. There are no limits. Everything is a dollar. She knows if she put out something that's controversial, she got the people that's going to support her, and she got the ones that are going to buck what she's doing. The numbers going up, the comments going up, and damn everything else. YouTube pays once a month. Send me that check. The love of money and greed is a serious thing. It's a serious thing. It can make the most gentle person deadly. Can make an honest person a crook. Her mind is so corrupt with that money because see, she controls a lot of things with that money for a little while. She did all of that. She spent all that money. $10,000 babysit his own kids, Disney trip. That Disney trip, just that room alone, that was a $20,000 trip for sure. They stayed in the elite areas of Disney World. Them ain't cheap areas at all. That room itself, and they was there for a week. That room itself was over probably 10, 15,000, literally. No exaggeration. She spent some money for him to come home and walk out. When she was throwing money, she wants to create that life. You can't buy nobody to love you. You can't buy nobody to be with you. Self-love is a real thing when you seek it and you implement it in your life. When you see people acting that way, they don't love themselves. They got to get well. And there's too much going on there. Ebony says, "Yep, their friction was over Vanessa, and he and his father just reconnected shortly before he was gone. Very sad. It is." That was a themed Airbnb. Okay, I thought they was on the grounds. Regardless of what it wasn't cheap. They pay some money. For those of you that may not be a part of the community, this is a break. Focus of this community is to support a healthy, happy lifestyle, to educate the minority community about mental health, and to help others transition in developing skills and releasing negative past practice to enter a soft life. I believe in a soft life. Many years I lived a toxic and high stress environment that almost took my life. I speak out now so I can educate others within our community to break down the false teachings about mental health and the importance of it. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please join us. It's a collaborative environment, and we can do any and all things together. So make sure you hit the like button. If nothing else, I appreciate it. She desperately needs therapy and healing. Absolutely. I think she is in denial and thinks she can just keep doing what she is doing herself. But see, that's how you end up on your back. That's how I ended up on my back in 2019, because I worked myself like a dog in a very high stress area, working long hours, taking care of them kids like that. That's a lot of work, in a bad, unhealthy relationship. And I started to get sick, and I ignored it. My mental health started with migraines. I say that almost on every live. People think when you associate mental health, see, people, they aren't educated enough. They think about crazy and something wrong with you. No, mental illness presents itself in many different forms. Mine started as headaches that gradually turned into migraines and then body aches. See, mental illness is a lot of different things, from toxic environments that is high stress, bad relationship that mess with your emotional and physical state, and that's how you get ill. That's how people start to become unhealthy. People pass away from these things. This ain't nothing to play with. And she gambling with not only her lives, but the lives of 7 others that depend on her. She eats terrible. She doesn't exercise. And she's constantly on a spiral up and down emotional roller coaster. You think that all that ain't impacting her body? I learned that the hard way. Started to have body aches. My shoulders started bothering me. Then my wrists. I was in a sling because my arm started to malfunction. High stress. This stuff is real. And I was in my late 30s, early 40s. All that money spent in trips would have been better spent on personal therapy and well-being and spiritual development. Absolutely. That would benefit her and her children more than the trips and things. Listen, a lot of them kids ain't gonna remember none of this, but they gonna remember how they were scared when mommy and daddy was in there arguing and fighting. I remember being a little girl. It's stuff I can remember when I was a little girl. That stuff is real. The truth of the matter is, if she don't get in front of it, something's going to happen. She speaks about how much she loved her children, but if you really loved your children, they wouldn't be involved in this mess. My heart goes out to children, because once upon a time I was one, and I know how it feels to grow up in aggressive environments. I know how it feels to always be around people that's on an emotional roller coaster. I speak about that with my children. My son and my daughter, they're adults, but I'm encouraging them, stick around, because we're going somewhere. Using my life as an example for my children to come up. How did it feel to grow up with an aggressive mother? I was an aggressive mother. I was raised by an aggressive mother. I went through depressions. I didn't know what they was. I started to get myself help when I in my early 20s. Want my kids to come forth and tell the truth so somebody can learn from it. It ain't about, it's a difference with trying to help a community and people than out here just acting a fool and telling your business. We have an issue within our community that the only way it's going to be broken is we got to start speaking up and telling the truth, being honest. See, that best life mess, it's not impressive because it's a lie. It's a lie. Nobody has the perfect life. We all dealing with something. But you have these young people that believe it, and they don't care who they got to crap on and who they got to step on to get there. And a lot of times it's your family dynamic. And when the day is done, when everybody else is gone, you might have a jacked up family, but they 9 times out of 10 is going to be the ones that show up. The best thing I ever did was to learn how to close my mouth and listen. People spend a lot of time on nothing. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I hadn't talked about Peach in a while. I talked about it first time I figured out what was going on with her a couple months ago. This is fast forward my second time. I don't spend, it has to be something that I think is a true teachable moment. And coming to the stage like this, where you back and forth with your mother and you just said some god awful things, that ain't none of our business. People need to know. You might not like your mother. You might have a lot of wounds, but don't do that. One thing is for sure. People respect you more when they know less. Worked in corporate America my entire adulthood. Everybody does not earn the right to have a front row seat in your life. People will sit right dead smack front row seat in your life and use it against you at the first opportunity. Greg wore out. But Greg knows that when everybody else is gone, she cried to him. I ain't there, but I'm willing to bet it. He know it. He know it all, but he too young to know it all. He got a lot of weight on him that he shouldn't. That he shouldn't. That's her confidant. He know everything. She's passing on her trauma to him. Oh, I know that's how she makes money, but she don't have to. She's skillful enough. I'm gonna tell you this. I know this for a fact. It holds true with her and Brianna LaTruth. If those young ladies, they have such a large enough platform and a media presence. Actually, believe it or not, Peach has a better media presence than Brianna. Peach is a better teacher. Brianna ain't no teacher. Um, Peach does have a level of teaching skills. If they would change the trajectory and be authentic on a healing journey and really try to bring forth teachings and encouragement to help their fellow generation young people, they would take their platforms to levels unknown. You don't need to act a fool to get that money. She's already there. She don't have the confidence in herself. She's been blessed, but she don't even realize how blessed she is in the level of impact that she has on people, because she don't have to act fool. She could do her let's go with me to the little places that she go. They're entertaining enough. Yeah. Miss LaTruth's ex-wife, the another influencer. She got way more followers than Peach. She going through a divorce, very toxic breakup. She was putting out she actually got arrested because her soon-to-be ex-husband pressed charges. She wanted to ruin him so bad. She sent a picture of him when he was getting out the shower, to somebody that she didn't even know. Now, you want to talk about this man's private parts and the size and call it a shrimp and all of that, but you broke your back to get with him and had a baby against his wishes. He told you in the beginning he never wanted no more kids. A couple years into the relationship before he married you, you decided to get pregnant. So now you got a child by this person. You calling him little man and all these things, but that's your child's father. Again, toxic behaviors. Her mother is passed away. A lot of broken families, a lot of broken relationships. And at the end of it, you had these groups of people that's rallying around you saying, you're the best, you're the best, you're the greatest. We agree with you. Everything you say, nothing that comes out your mouth is wrong. Because these followers want to emulate. Social media is a dangerous game because it gives a false narrative. Everybody going through something. Might be small, some might be great, but ain't nothing perfect. Ain't nothing perfect. Then my thing is, I can't stand when folks feel like other people are obligated to help with their kids. And I did see that when she's talking about her mom and watching her kids. When you have 7 kids, you change the dynamic of people's ability to support and help you. I'm not a grandmother. I have 2 kids. Neither one have children yet. I'm not going to be the type of grandmother that have kids all day because I had my kids and I raised them. Some part of my life got to be for me. I'm not going to be absent, but when you have kids, make sure that you want to take care of them and raise them. People try to put obligations and responsibilities on you that is yours. It's yours. And the one thing that I chimed in on was when her mother said, how she don't do anything for her, but the other, and I've heard, and when I watch pieces, I know that other lady don't like, because she spoke about it before. But she bought the lady furniture and all this other stuff. Hey, welcome aboard, Carrie. Glad you can make it. Why would you buy somebody that don't like you something? And your mother wasn't lying when she said that lady probably don't even know all those kids' names. So I know probably the situation is that lady don't deal with them at all. At all. I know she overwhelmed by all those children. What she did, when she said that she had a nanny or something, she need to get a nanny again. She got too many kids. She need help. And then I think that was homeschooled. That's like crazy. Everybody needs a break. That's how you break down. That's how you have emotional breakdowns. You got to put systems in place to support you. When that old tribal saying says it takes a village to raise a child, that's true. That's true. And she has a village, so she needs a city. She needs a good group of people to help support her, because everybody need a break, and stress is still taking people out of here. Says Peach tries to point it as if her mom wants her to do for her instead of Wood's mom. That ain't what her mother was saying. I know what her mother was saying exactly. She was making a point. But when you have somebody that is so resentful, cocky and demeaning, you can't tell them nothing. Only when ain't nobody else there, then they're willing to listen, because you all they got. And it's a sad situation. As adults, we have to start owning some of our traumas at some point. We have to get to a place where we make a decision, a conscious decision, and be intentional about healing from our traumas. If we don't own what happened to us, and that we don't want to stay in that space, these domino effects, these passed down traumas will continue to plague our communities, our families. And the sad part about it is it's going the opposite way of where it should be going. These things aren't getting better. I know she only I have a relationship with that lady. That says plenty. And it's just too much going on there. It's too much going on there. But the reality is, it's too much going on in a lot of families. And people need to start being honest about, we got issues in this family and we need to heal from them. And we need to be open to getting some help. And if the family ain't open to getting some help, I'm going to go get me some, because I want to live a happy, whole, stress-free life. I think you have to start monitoring how much of this stuff that you consume. Becky, welcome aboard. Glad you made it, lady. You can get so caught up in this stuff that you can start missing stuff in your life that you need to address. See, when I come on social media, I come on with a purpose and an intention. I'm just not on here because I'm nosy and I want to see what's going on. I'm on here because I got a mission, and I want to pass on information. I want to help somebody. I want to help myself. Helping others help me. But people get caught up in all this noise and all these things that don't matter. And here we are. I got over 13,000 views on TikTok from the video I made about Peach's mama and her situation, walking it down as a teachable moment. So if I got that kind of views, you know what she got. Because people love negativity, toxicity. Mine wasn't focused on that, on a teachable moment, but exactly. Some months ago, Peach posted a family text thread where she was asking her whole family, mom, aunts, etc., to go to therapy, and they thought it was ridiculous, that they didn't need it. And that's that. So it does come, and well, she shouldn't have posted it, but I can believe that, because her mother comes from the baby boomer generation. Her mother's generations is in their 60s and up, late 50s, 60s and up. Again, that generation dealt with racism, extreme poverty. That generation was the first one starting to get blue collar, decent jobs to get out of the ghettos, and crack epidemic. Did nobody know about how they dealt with stress? They all start. That's how crack spread. They all was on dope over there in baby boomers. A lot of baby boomers high work ethics. But the crack epidemic plagued that generation. It is what it is. It's fact. Look it up. That's where the height, when it came to the streets, it hit the baby boomers. Baby boomers was a very strong work ethic group. Drugs took them out. Drugs, now that generation smokes marijuana, and then, the government, whoever else, put crack on the streets, and it impacted the Black community. That's what it is. So if she reached out to her family, well, she should have took her husband, because that's her immediate family. She got a husband and 7 kids. That's her words, not mine. It starts at the home. She chose and decided to have all those kids with that man. They need to go to therapy first. She should have posted the response of his, because see, they live in the same household. When you start having kids with somebody, you have an obligation. That is your primary family, because now you're responsible for others. And when you can't establish healthy relationships and get past the traumas and the pains of childhood, then you have to learn how to love your family members from a distance, not get on social media and talk about that they used to be this and that, and they did this and that, and I hate them, by the way. When you put something out on social media, it's out there. I can delete this, but if somebody else recording, once you upload and you go live, it's out of your control. It can go wherever whoever's around want it to go. That's the law of life. You have to be very careful and very intentional about what you put out here, because we all evolve. Most people evolve. I often talk about the old me. I've been talking about that for about 15, 20 years. I said, I'm worried about the old me. I got to make right decisions. So I take care of the old me. Well, see, I'm headed to the old me. So everything I did before now impacts the current me and the future me. People act like what happened back then can't resurface. And that's just not true. The fastest way to lose a man is to keep having babies. Listen, I told my daughter that. I've told my nieces. I've told any young lady that be willing to listen. If you want to lose him, get pregnant. It is what it is. Unless you do it the right way. That's why there's, when like in life and in work, there's procedures and processes in place for something to be productive and effective. You got to follow. When you start going out them boundaries, any and everything can happen. Amen. Forgiveness is for yourself. I didn't either. I talked about, when I was upload that video about Peach's mother, I talked about mine. I didn't always have a great relationship with my mother, nor agree with her. But I learned to forgive her for me. I benefited off that forgiveness. And I also learned, when everybody is not emotionally and mentally healthy enough to have a front row seat in my life, I learned how to love them from a distance. I learned that everybody wasn't mentally healthy enough to be up close and personal. I had to be guarded with information, with access to me. Because see, you could be okay, and then next thing you know, you jacked up because somebody brought all their issues and their problems and their negative energy into your life. And then all of a sudden you messed up. That's a real thing. Negative energy is never destroyed. It's only transferred. Pay attention to your interactions with people. You'll be okay at a peaceful day, and after you get off the phone with somebody or interacting with somebody, you be all irritated and jacked up. Be angry. They transferred that to you. That's a real thing. When you don't have two people that agree and working for the same purpose and cause, then that's when you got to learn how to start protecting your peace. That's when you got to start utilizing that mindful thinking, being very observant around your surroundings and protective of your perimeters. Can't allow everybody up close and personal, because people will rob you of your peace. Yeah, people love toxicity and drama, and she knows it, so she keeps putting it out there. I agree. Yep, and plus our parents know their shortcomings. I don't want to keep badgering them. Let me tell you something. I think people forget that your parents are people too, you know. I remember when I was younger, my mother said something to the fact of she wasn't gonna live her life in regret. She apologized, and that was it. She acknowledged, and that was the truth. See, people hold you hostage. You can't let people hold you hostage. Once you have made amends with yourself and tried to make amends to the best of your abilities with all others that are impacted, you are released. People will hold you hostage and run you to your death if you let them. What I saw with that attack back, say if her mother was intentionally trying to hurt her, that don't mean that you intentionally try to hurt somebody back. You have to grow and evolve. It's a shame. It's a shame. But their situation ain't unique. It's a lot of mothers and daughters that are out there like that. If you don't believe me, go to TikTok and read all the comments of the video I did. It's a lot of them young girls that they mad as hell, and they don't have no love and respect. But then it's a lot of them that acknowledge they don't have the best relationship with their mothers, but there's boundaries. There has to be boundaries. I don't care what. We didn't need to know that her husband injured her mother. But I do know this: some things just can't happen. And the thing that just really troubled me about that was she was running at him to protect her daughter. Beauty says, I don't want to be 50. Some still talking about what my mama did to me when I was. Exactly. Some point you got to own it and say, you know what, that happened, but it stops here. I'm moving on with my life. Put boundaries and expectations in place for you. Like, this is what it has to be for me in my life, for me to have a safe space and interact. And if people can't meet those boundaries, you have to start learning to love them from a distance. And that's just what it is. Peaches tells us that her mom changed and credits her stepfather for the change, but stays bashing and disrespecting the woman. Exactly. Because how they say, hurt people hurt people. You reached out, you said, we all need therapy. Where y'all go? People said that was ridiculous. Okay. Well, if I brought it up, I need it. Why aren't you going? You got 7 kids and a husband. You got 7 kids and a husband. Wouldn't you want to do that for you and your 7 kids and a husband? And let's be honest, it's deeper than that, because in today's times, who has 7 kids by a man like that? Who has 7 kids? She just got this money, this new money. This ain't no money. And all them kids ain't 3 years old or under. She had a lot of kids broke. It's a lot of emotional things going on that existed way before now. this ain't just this instance. She been lashing out for a minute now. Peach's mom has apologized to her. You see it all over her. You can hear it when she speaks and see it. Exactly. I saw a calm lady walk that through. And that might not be, so some resentment in her mother, as to an extent. But her mother's believable. I only see all the anger and all the negativity and the rah-rah coming out from one side. Now, I don't think that Peach is lying. I really don't. But I think it's old. I think, like I said earlier, people relive traumas. Some examples is physical abuse, sexual, emotional, poverty, unsafe neighborhoods, chronic stress, homelessness. If y'all didn't know, Peach used to be homeless. Parents with substance use disorders or mental disorder. Her mother used to be on drugs. Bullying or school violence. I heard Peach talk about being bullied growing up. Witnessing domestic violence. She talked about her mother getting beat. She got every last symptom. Don't worry about taking other people to therapy. Go for yourself. Go get yourself some help. You can't help nobody no way. It's too much help you need. When I finally went to therapy and I was in group therapy in 2019, first off, thank you to the Lord. Best thing ever happened to me. But secondly, I was diagnosed with PTSD. I ain't never been in the military. And I was diagnosed with every stage of PTSD. I had every symptom. Peach has every symptom of PTSD. And she's stewing in it. She's sitting there living in it. She's comfortable in it because it's been going on her whole life, and she's addicted to pain and don't want to do nothing about it. Because if she truly wanted to do something about it, she wouldn't bring it to the internet. She'd go handle her business. And that's what's sad about this thing. Sometimes parents are embarrassed by past mistakes. We all are. I don't expect mom to come to the internet and discuss her past. She don't owe us that, or to text it to Peach. Exactly. That lady don't owe us that. All the money that is constantly brags. But listen, she's addicted to pain. She's addicted to toxic relationship, and she's addicted to getting this internet money. And when you think about it, it's all a disaster waiting to happen. Just think, the internet, which is dangerous. Toxic relationships, dangerous. Pain, dangerous. Snap, that people snap when they dealing with pain. It ain't a recipe for nothing good, and it ain't wishing nothing on nobody. It ain't like these people be thinking hating. No, this is life. You brought this out here, and I'm gonna dissect it. I ain't hating. I'm trying to help somebody else not do what you're doing. We all got generational trauma, but we all ain't on this social media telling everybody. Amen, Carrie. Listen, therapy is so convenient. You can go to therapy right sitting in your home and be looking the therapist dead in their face on FaceTime. And it'd be very productive. I've did it many times. When I was struggling after the pandemic, I'd be sitting right in my living room talking to my therapist, boo-hooing. And then when it was over, I felt better. Until next week. As soon as we get off, I'm gonna schedule my next appointment. And I sure did. Right on the comforts of my iPhone. And when I need to, I'll do it again. I'm actually going to set me up a couple sessions because I ain't been in a while, and it's a form of healthy expression, healthy exercise. You don't wait till you till you traumatized or you sick and you going through something to get therapy. No, go on a good day. So when the sick day or the traumatic day come, you have some tools and some coping mechanisms in place so you can navigate and deal with it. You don't wait till you need help, get help. You prepare for rainy days, because we all gonna have rainy days. That's the law of life. We have ups, down, good and bad. Put some resources in place to help you navigate it. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff she say is questionable. I think Peach sees her mother treat her sibling kids, which that's a real thing. Again, I don't believe the girl lying. I believe she telling her truth. But I go back to the topic of this session of the podcast. Childhood traumas in adulthood. When is enough enough? I believe what that girl say. I believe it. And I don't think she lying. That is the truth as she knows it. But what are you doing about it? That's like, we can cry wolf all we want to. But when do we quit crying wolf and tame the wolf? She talks, I seen that too, where she said she don't have friends. Yeah, she do. We all need somebody. We all need somebody. But let's be honest. You got to be a friend to get a friend. She ain't a friend of nobody in her life. I think the only person I have observed from what I've seen, only true friend that she is to somebody is to that older boy Greg. She a friend of him. I think that's her only true friend. And that's her son. She needs a different way of life. You got 7 kids, toxic relationship, toxic family, and then she was homeschooling, I think. Like people been dropping at young ages. That's a real thing. So the reality that stress will take you out of here, believe it. It's happened to a lot of people and it's going to keep happening. Just don't let it be you. Imagine how many generations of our ancestors before us lived. Hey, listen, I'm living with it now. Coming on social media helps me strengthen my skills that was impacted. Like my memory got impacted, my ability to speak very fluently and very quick with my words and responses. I was impacted. I started noticing I think about things now. I got a pause in there that I didn't have. Reality of stressors in life. It impacted me. It slowed some of my functions, my ability to function on the optimal level. It took some of that away. It's a reality. But I know I ain't alone. See, this is happening within our communities and our family every day, and ain't nobody talking about it. These stressful lives, these toxic relationships is very impactful. And once it starts to chip away at you, that turnaround time ain't the same. And some people can't turn around at all. Having vices. She has a problem, but it ain't severe. I've had family members, like literally. I know what like a true gambler addiction looks like. She don't have it because she still got her kids and she still got her home. Hers, she got a problem, but it ain't as bad as she say, because I seen the worst of gamblers. You would think they was on dope. She ain't there. She need to get in front of it before she get there, though. She's trying to control everybody. Trying to control mom, husband with her money. Exactly. And that's what I saw. That's why she spent that whole bunch of money here, babysitting, family trip. Quick Trip. That, see, she felt something was going on. That's when she opened that pocketbook, trying to create this false life to keep him around, to keep him from straying. You can't make nobody love you, ladies and gentlemen. You can't make nobody do right by you. Let me tell you a secret. You can do all that for yourself and be just fine. Self-love is a real thing. It's strong. It's a beautiful thing. If you don't have any, I suggest you work towards and get you some. It'll help you navigate through all that mess. Take away all that toxic mess. You can even get therapy if you have Medicaid. You know, for real. Ask your primary doctor. Tell them you need to talk to someone because you feel exactly. And it's okay to not be okay. But I got another piece of that. But it's not okay to do nothing about it. The days of sitting around wallowing in it, knowing there's something wrong or negatively impacting others and not doing anything about it is no longer acceptable. It's no longer acceptable behavior. People wanted around here, you know, wilding out, always agitated, irritated, hard to be around. It's no longer acceptable. People have to admit when they got a problem. And it's okay when you have a problem. What's not okay is that you become addicted to that problem and you want to do absolutely nothing about it and you normalize it. Too many people out here normalizing they dysfunction. And people that have done the work and are doing the work are being impacted. Got to hold people accountable, put them on notice. I don't believe she ever homeschooled. I don't either. We never saw that. They may have been in school online, but who was watching them when she was recording? Exactly. Who, the older boy, Becky? Let's be honest. Peach's vocabulary by itself says send your kids to school, and I ain't talking about it. I'm just putting facts. You know, it's a lot of intelligent young people coming up in the world. You have to learn how and be educated enough to compete. Those kids need to be schooled, period. There's no reason. And put on top of that, they got conditions and ailments. We have to start holding not only ourselves accountable, but others. Because just think about how many people, young people, are impressionable by this. She's left an impression on them, and they see nothing wrong with these types of behaviors. It's a sad state of events. People go through, when you're younger, you know, you go through those stages where your friends and your man matter so much, your family on the back burn. And then after them friends backstab you and that dude leave you for another chick, all you got is your family. But people don't forget though. Family take you back, but you know, like, quit burning bridges. Learn how to function in both worlds. See, we get so consumed in these relationships, and I'm speaking from a place of experience where you start to lose your identity and you become so consumed and absorbed in that relationship with that man that everything else take a back seat. You lose it becomes unhealthy. And then you put your soul and all your resources in this relationship. Then when it's over, you confused. You don't even know who you are no more. That's why yesterday, you know, she was boo-hooing. But you was just traveling around the world here recently, spending all that money, counting stacks, tricking on somebody that didn't give a damn about you. And my heart goes out to her. I don't celebrate or encourage that man don't. I know what love look like, and that ain't it. I know, you had 7 kids with somebody that ain't responsible, but now the damage is done. What you gonna do to get out of it? Because this ain't gonna change. It's very hard for people to change at this stage, at the stage in life where they at. The best predictor of future behavior is look at past. If you want to see how the future look like with somebody, look at the past behavior with them, because that's what's coming in front of you. People got to do a lot of work, and you got to take God with you along the way if you want change. To sit there and think you're going to change on your own, good luck. When life beats you up, come back and I'll give you next steps. Because the odds against it. The odds is against it. Wood was there, but he wasn't with her. That's what Peach couldn't differentiate. He was there physically. He was there to eat, spend the money, buy clothes. That's it. Take photo ops. But just think about this. He ain't the best, but he dealt with a lot too now. If he was my son, I wouldn't want him to be with nobody like that. And if she was my daughter, I wouldn't want her to be with nobody like that. It's a disaster. Any way you look around. And you got 7 children. That's a part of it. No, we can't change without them. This for the people in the back. My greatest growth, my most impactful changes is when I went to God and asked him to intervene, to change me and to change my situation, to strengthen me. And what's sad is a lot of these young folks don't even believe in him. I don't know where you would go during your darkest times without spirituality. It's that spirituality has saved my life. But you have these young people, the Bible will fulfill itself. There will be a generation that don't know me. They're coming up as we speak. A lot of these young people don't believe in God. But it also takes us back to, this is my logic. I assess things a lot. The baby boomers, like I said, they was the first generation that started getting out of poverty and got the decent blue collar jobs where they could, provide better for their children, which is my generation, Gen X. My generation was the first group that had a decent life, that was not dealing with as much racism as our parents. But I think our parents did too much, because my generation, we was a generation that dealt with teenage pregnancies and dope boys. So you got a lot of young girls having babies, and you got a lot of boys in the street getting that money. And then, so that's the beginning of understanding and living the fast life, the toxic life, and not really raising your kids, because dope boys got kids by everybody. So you so confrontational with the other baby mamas that the kids ain't being taken care of. So now you got a generation of kids that didn't get the love that they needed, which is the millennials. But they entitled because dope dealers and the teenage mamas wanted to get their kids not the not the better life, the best life, designer stuff, addicted to retail, and we couldn't afford it. So a false sense of who we are. And now you got this Gen Z, they was born behind the computer and they don't even know how to interact with nobody. It's a real thing. And it's called dangerous. But I believe the church has skewed a lot of my generation. Yeah. Oh, so amen. You got Pastors that was former pimps, and ain't nothing wrong with that in the aspect of a lot of pastors were great sinners that God converted. But now you got these people nowadays that are pretending, just like they using the church as a hustle, and they playing with God, and that's something I do not play with. Again, if you are new here and you like what we do, please consider subscribing to the channel and supporting the platform. Mental health in the minority community is important, and that's what we all about. Honestly, we are still seeing the effects of slavery on the black. Absolutely, we're gonna probably see that to the end of time. It's generational traumas. But these younger generations they don't even know about history. So the way that they impact, they don't even know why, and they don't even have any respect for ancestors. So it's so many levels to this thing. Yeah, I'm Gen. Who we got in the room? If y'all don't mind divulging yourself, Carrie says she a Gen X. I'm a Gen X. We got baby boomers or millennials or Gen Z in here, or is everybody a Gen X? It's I think with each generation though, the gap of being relatable from one generation to the next is starting to be widely increased versus my parents and my generation. There was a difference, but like my daughter's a Gen Z. I can't relate to her. I learned because the way she thinks, she was born into a world like when she was born, computers and all this cyberspace existed. She's never been in a world that computers and cell phones didn't exist. I'm Courtney. I'm millennial, I think. Yeah, you are. Okay. Welcome aboard. My son's a millennial, Courtney. He was born in 94. You are a millennial. Um, it's a great difference between your generation and the Zoomers. And every generation is impacted greatly by mental health. Baby boomers, Gen X, my generations, teenage pregnancy, high uh, school dropouts, and it's sad. Okay, we got a little diversity in here, but the conversations have to continuously be started and had. We got to continue to work through our traumas and our childhood nightmares, if you will, because when we continuously hold on to these things, it spills out into our families, our children's, our communities. It's a lot of people you'll run across, and they miserable as hell. They holding on to some pains that ain't resolved. But when you don't have anybody that's in their life or support system that can be objective and give constructive feedback and guidance, just think you always among people that's in agreement with you. It's a terrible thing. Beauty says, I complain to my grandma that life is hard. She almost chewed my head off, but I think it's hard now too. Just exactly. Yeah. And it is. Everybody needs to understand that. And somebody had mentioned that earlier in regards to people deal with pain and their traumas differently. Everybody's different. And that's true. We have to respect where people are, meet people where they're at. I I'll use this analogy. It's a little different, but I think you can benefit from it. A guy I dated, his mother, she got diagnosed out of nowhere with dementia. Came out of nowhere. She ended up staying with us. I've never came across anybody that was losing their mind. She was losing her mind. She thought people were after her. People was in the wall. You know, it was a totally new experience. She has 3 kids, my ex and his 2 siblings. They wanted to treat her as mommy. So she could easily manipulate them because they still looking at her as the, that's mommy. She raised us. But mommy had a problem. Mommy got a problem now. You can't deal with mommy like that. They wasn't very effective in helping her. So I had to step in. And I actually have a sister in nursing. I called her on the phone and she coached me how to do, because she dealt with a lot of dementia patients. I had zero experience and knowledge. She coached me through the phone, hours upon hours and days listening, because his mother was tripping, to help me get that situation under control, because her kids wanted to not acknowledge where she was at. They still wanted to treat her like mommy. I had to meet mommy where she was at. I had to meet her on her level in her world. And that's how I gained control and was able to gain her trust to help her to start getting well and to get on a program to where we could manage her. You cannot invalidate people's feelings. Like for her, that was real. People in the walls and people after her was real. I knew they wasn't real, but I didn't act like that. I met her where she was at. I had my sister, I would call my sister on the phone. Her and my nephew would act like she had a supervisor in her past in her mind that was out to get her. I would call I would call my sister, and my sister would act like she was the warden, and my nephew was the guard, and she would hear them on the phone go, obviously, pretending to check to make sure that the lady was in her jail cell. But I gained her trust that way. I met her where she was at. I validated her feelings because they were true for her. That person didn't exist, but her fear was real. Have to meet people where they at. Best thing you can do. That's how people heal. That's how they get well. That's why on this live, you didn't hear me say that I felt the young lady was lying with the situation with her and her mother. I I believe her. I believe she believed all that happened. But you got to put things in place to help you overcome that and resolve it. Because you deserve to live a happy, healthy life. You deserve to get to a place to where life is peaceful, pleasant. We get so caught up in the noise and other people's issues or not resolving our past pains that we never get to the place to where life is rewarding. Amen. You know what? And my sister was a blessing to me. Thank you, Carrie, to help navigate me through a situation that I didn't know nothing about. I needed help, so I reached out. I reached out to get help because I needed it. In the words of F. Jenner Lewis, you sit and shit long enough, it stop. Amen. Exactly. And I don't want to sit in it at all, beauty. But people get comfortable in it. They get very comfortable. That whole thing goes back to addicted to pain. You know, people start to be very functional in dysfunction and normalizing dysfunctional behaviors and relationships instead of addressing it and correcting it. We have to get past that point in time in life. And when you think about it, It's really the basics. Go back to the basics. Honesty, humility, um, talking and resolving issues, listening to hear, not respond. Being a good listener is a beautiful thing. Not being on the defense or an attack mode. Willing to work with people. Nobody's willing to work with nobody no more. Everybody is, I'm the best, I'm this, I'm that. And you ain't no more important than nobody else. We all important in this life. We all have made sacrifices. We all got things we dealing with. If nothing else, I encourage each and every one of you to be honest with yourselves. Sometimes relationships are hard and we don't have all the knowledge and resources and skills to be effective and move forward to resolve them like we would like to. And sometimes there are times where you can't resolve them, but you can find a peaceful, happy place in your life to where you can be at peace and you can live a happy, healthy life. And that's where you want to get to. Don't just sit there and stew and blame because you'll rob yourself of so much time. And life is too precious for that. You got something better to go after. Something better is waiting for you. And I need you to go get it. That's what Let's Get Real and Heal is about. It's about a happy, healthy life. It's about learning how to love yourself. Love yourself enough to look yourself in the face and walk down every lie and tell the truth. Help somebody else get well. Mental health is nothing to play with. It's our reality. It's affecting more and more people. And we need to do something about it. Nobody's coming to save us. But we can learn how to save ourselves. We can learn how to get well. One step, one therapy session, one supportive group, one honest conversation at a time. That's how you begin to get to that other part of life, that self-care. Don't be one of those people that lie to yourself saying, I love me. And you don't even know what self-love really is because you ain't done the work. Many people lie to themselves. I don't want you to be that way. I want you to get well if you need to. And if you're already well, I want you to help somebody else. We all need somebody. We all need to know that there are people and places out there that can help us get well. It was many days that I needed help. And I got help. I came across some people that care. We don't want to be so desensitized that we believe there is no help out there when there's plenty. Do yourself a favor and me one too. If you haven't joined a community, I invite you to. Let's get real and heal, y'all. We can do that together. That concludes tonight's conversation. I enjoy all of you all being here. When you see something wrong, make sure you don't participate in it. It's a better part of life waiting for you, and I want you to go get it. Beauty said, I had people that abused me, helping them, and they drained me. I loved them, but I had to create this. Amen. My cup was so full when I was drained. I became sick. People can drain. People can only do what you allow them to, Beauty, and don't you ever forget that. Our bodies and our minds talk to us by way of, I don't feel well today, or I'm getting a lot more headaches, or my body hurts me. Don't let that happen to you. You deserve a happy, healthy life, as we all do. Make sure you're making every effort to live it. A happy life is a soft life. Let's get real and heal, y'all. We can do that together. Saturdays, I'm committed to. Be looking out. Thank you for coming in and joining. You all have a good night until we meet again. God's blessings.